I've made my decision.
The winner
of RuPaul's Drag Race
is
The name Lazy Susan. Yes. My sweet, sweet Lazy.
I love that name. It's great. Oh, Jesus. Gross.
Oh, hey there, everybody. We are back. We are all of us Lazies, all of us Susans, except if it's What a Man, then you know that my name is not Susan. That is X's for Show up here. We are on all your social at X's for Show. This guy.
I am John Doe. There we go. I am John Doe. No, I'm not. You can find me places. I'm Jonah. You might be places at Peak Jonah. It's Peak.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And I'm your producer, Kevo, and he is risen today. And you can find me over at Kevo Really.
And that is in case anybody does not realize the year of our Lord Robert Downey Jr. We are here today to discuss a top 4 that I think everybody saw coming and a win that I think even the people who wanted it were like, it could happen, but maybe did not think was in the bag. Perhaps they were a little concerned about some summertime, but we'll talk about how that happened. I, for one, will miss Hanaconda going every 10 seconds. But other than that, let's talk about this top 4, guys. We got a top 4 du jour, and it's all we're looking for. We have the elimination of morphine, heartbreaking. Although I would love to see the elimination of the morphine problem in modern America, right? We have the unforgettable Q, unforgettable because some of the stuff she says and her unbelievable looks. We have the irrepressibly banana Nymphia. We have the world's most Boston thing ever, Plain Jane. And of course, we have, I'm so sorry, Ben Affleck's chest hair might beat it. But
listen, honestly, I love you very much. I don't feel you're qualified to make the distinction of most Boston things.
You're right.
I'm
putting judging Jane from the outside.
I'm putting Jane at like a 12 out of 20.
Okay.
There are many more. Jane has some real Boston bitch in her. Do not get me wrong. You can smell the Jacques on that girl like nobody else, but you actually named the perfect one to start with, and then we got to work down the list. Jane is still far down the list. Dunks period is quite high, and Jane is not at Dunks level yet. So we're gonna get through this.
You know what? That's how I feel whenever anybody's like, "That's so Jersey," and I'm
right,
like,
exactly.
Clearly you know nothing of Jersey. And then every now and then somebody's like, "What are you gonna do? Go drink a Zeppeli? Or, God, eat a Zeppeli and drink a beer?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess you know me."
The only thing I picked up, I'm like at the fucking Wawa, right? And now I've got one reference.
Yeah,
but I am not qualified to Jersey.
I only want to add, if you just want to just shorten it a little bit, just to the Wa. And
you don't need that second Wa. That's extraneous and for decoration.
That's why I'm just calling her Safa, because Nira, Farah, it doesn't matter. The era is irrelevant. She is Saphira, and I am all about her. She is my everything, guys. We kind of called, we safely called 3 of the top 4 in that early promo video. I think we were like, Q, Plasma Dawn, but I'd love to know everybody's take on being at the top 4 that we all foresaw.
Even if it was predictable, I think it was a very fun journey to get to this top 4. I think you arguably could have removed Q for Plasma, but that's only not because Q
Oh,
isn't
how sad
talented.
she has to sell her soul for Plasma.
Yes.
Oh.
Sad.
It's not that Q isn't talented. It's the only person that I think conceivably maybe could have been knocked out. But Q puts up a fight. Q is very talented, and Q's not going down without, scratching tooth and nail. Which, why are we scratching tooths? That seems weird. Don't scratch your teeth.
No, the teeth and the nail are scratching. The
No.
I thought I had itchy teeth.
No, that's what's doing the
My itchy
Gothy
teeth
Kendall.
hurt me. But I really enjoy this top four. I think this top four is pretty spectacular. I think they all kind of have different je ne sais quois, if you will. In remembrance of Le Grand Dame, who did not win. We'll get to that. The je ne sais quoi of these four beautiful women are all very different, and they all kind of bring out something a little bit different. I am very fascinated to see how next week will shake out, because I don't know. It seems plausible that they're trying to do a fake out, but like we think it's gonna be a top four. It's also very plausible that it's like, no, top three this season. I don't care.
Kevo, I loved all. I seriously spin that image.
I was trying to refresh it because I forgot to update this image. And so I've been doing it in the background, and I wanted to refresh it because look at the way the eyes were between Nymphia and plain Jane. It looks like a weird Picasso.
They're almost making a face.
We're one sister.
Sister.
Yes.
It's kind of
there
turning
you
into
go,
Agent
top four.
Smith. Sister
Jonah-
Anderson.
Jonah, I do think you're right. The fact that we are hearing mention so much of the top four and how the top four matters and how a top four is not guaranteed does feel like a breadcrumb. The season is so wildly unpredictable in terms of production that I can see it going both ways. The thing is, I think Q is such an amazing contestant,
Same.
such an incredible constructor of garments, very talented in a weird way that I think she maybe just needs to watch this show back and be strategic about using those talents, and maybe playing a bit of a coy Nymphia game where she never says she's good at anything ever again, and then blows your mind when she nails a joke or nails a line and you didn't think she was going to be good at all. I think this is a competition between Saphira and Nymphia and Jane. And when we come down to it, I think it's between Saphira and Jane.
I just want to add to your brilliant point about the Q identity that you kind of pinpointed there.
Yeah.
One of the things that sticks out in my mind is if you love cabaret, and I said it with that slight accent because I mean, Velkomen, right? I mean, let's go punch some Nazis cabaret, right? The thing to remember is Sally should not be uber talented. So if you're going into it and you want to be super praised as Sally, it's why a friend of mine who I showed the Mariah Carey video for Breakdown, where she imitates Sally in Cabaret. And he's like, oh, Mariah Carey should not be hitting those high notes pretending to be Sally, because Sally shouldn't be able to hit those high notes. And you can't both want to be that big top tier star and then also encapsulate everything that is like the ingenue, the upstart, the unknown. Sort of being like, look how out of the box I am. But also, she's playing such an excellent game. I don't think she can be that out of the box. And I think that for me is a little bit where I get stuck. She's kind of like, why aren't you guys praising me? That throws me off. And to quote Queen of Soul, Mary J. Blige, sometimes you do need to stop exalting yourself.
I think there's always fun room to lean into being an Alexis Michelle, but I don't think you develop that identity over one night, one season. I think you kind of have to. I mean, I think
you have to be Lisa Loeb's cousin, for God's sakes.
You really do. I mean, you got to figure out how to stay.
You firecracker.
I think, I don't even think we were ready with what to do with Alexis until her All-Stars, where we realize that, like Valentina, again, another example, Valentina, I don't think at the end of that season we were prepared to accept her delusion as charming. It was, my blood is boiling, I'm simmering.
Ladies, my blood is boiling.
That's when you knew that this was beyond, oh, this fucking asshole is not introspective, and had gone into, she's so introspective, she's letting herself go off because she has looked inside and realized that that's what works. And Q is going to have to go on that journey before some of her weird quirks, like sort of getting very upset when not recognized, that can actually become a strength. That can become something that we're like, uh-oh, there was a cool challenge and Q didn't get enough praise. She's about to pop off and we're going to have a funny scene coming up, which is exactly what happened with Alexis. You know, there were just so many moments in her season where it was like, Alexis is out of her mind, but this is hilarious.
I think the other part of it is too, having a little bit of humility, and I say it that way, to understand when someone might be like, this is the joke, let me laugh along with people, let me profit.
Yeah.
Like Jane has made merch out of kudos mama for saying that, for spilling. There's t-shirts, there's merch.
Good, because Burger Finger went nowhere.
Right.
We'll get into it, but Winner of UK has put out some merch about some stuff that people have said about her online and her trajectory, and it's profit. If people are going to be laughing about you and talking about you this way, make money.
Get that money, Baroness.
You can not make money, or you can make money.
And I think those are great career moves, but I don't know that any of that is lining us up for a winner moment. I feel like, despite the fact that everybody was really strong and I was not 100% on anyone, it did sort of feel like Anitra's and Sasha's to duke out for the crown last year.
If you're going to remind us of their comedy number where nothing was really 100%, except that everybody here was California sober. You guys, you know, like Demi Lovato.
You guys know. And then we're going to lip sync to Monster, and it's going to be so good that neither of us get sent home. So
I mean, come on. But I think we're really looking, and I also want to add that I'm not necessarily 100% appreciative of the setup for Saphira versus Jane. I'm going to say it right now and we can talk about it more, but I don't feel that Jane was the winner of this episode. And I do feel that I don't think she was bad at all. I think it was a really cool look. I thought she was great with her person. I thought there were two people that did better than her and there were two people that did worse. I thought she was solidly the middle person and had nothing to be ashamed of, but nothing that wowed me the way they were talking about her wowing them. Again, it was another one of those episodes where I felt like it was almost awkward the way that the judging and the production contrived to set us up for a situation where we have two contestants now who have won 4 challenges, which is a massive thing. And it would be very cool. I feel that without that 3rd or 4th win, Jane still might deserve the crown and still deserves to be, she is the most serious contender after Saphira. And there are a lot of ways that this can go. It just felt like, and this concentrated the issue for me. It feels like there's somebody in pre-production, in development, who is producing the show, who has these really specific visions for how things need to go and is not willing to look at what happens in the episode and go, oh, okay, so this person won, so we're going to have to tell that story. They just are like, well, Rue, yell at Jane that she was the best person until the entire audience has no choice but to believe you, and then we'll give Jane the win, and now we've got our 4 wins versus 4 wins.
Can I just, because what you're pointing out is so important, the math, and it makes me kind of wonder, you know, she's my queen, she's my everything, but Shea Coulee and All Stars is the All Stars is sort of a questionable numbers game at times, and I really would not be surprised if, and I know it's not going to happen, But if next week Rue comes in and she announces a challenge, and then 10 minutes later Michelle comes in and she announces a challenge, and all the girls are like, what the fuck? And then 10 minutes later Carson comes in and he announces a challenge, and it's 3 wins in 1 week.
And none for Ross Matthews. Bye.
And none for Ross Matthews. Bye.
Well, I was hoping it was going to start being like, and then Graham walks in, and then the guy from Australia walks in.
We should be so lucky that Reese shows up. But I really wonder if they're going to try and balance out the number of wins somehow next week, because that's something they love to do. But, you know, further to your point, I really did think that Morphine's was a miss this week look-wise. I thought Nymphia and Martha Plimpton, I forget her girl's name. I'm so sorry.
Juanita Wynn.
Thank you. I thought they were terrific, right? But I really did think in some ways it looked like Plain Jane was just a DLC skin of another 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of Plain Jane's looks. And if I'm hearing Nymphia is wearing too much of a single color, when we can point to multiple outfits not in that color, but I struggle to point to anything that doesn't look like Contortionist Eats My Own Pussy Barbie that Plain has worn.
And of course, immediately someone got online and cut up T.S. Madison on an episode where Nymphia is specifically not wearing yellow, she's wearing red. So again, that's my thing, is like, cut out that critique if you're editing the episode. You really like this storyline that maybe Nymphia is a little shaky, so you leave in a blatant lie that is verifiable. And I think, to me, Nymphia did better than Jane did. I thought she had family resemblance. I thought she had a really beautiful look. I love DLC skin as a description, because Jane has had a lot of very similar silhouettes. I said it last week when we were in the group chat and watching the episode together. I said, and yet another of that same silhouette for Jane. And you said, yeah, but it looks amazing. And that counts. Bianca Del Rio did the same silhouette every episode.
Same dress, still won.
Exactly. It's not this unforgivable sin, and it doesn't mean you're not a winner. Even if other people are doing something different, that's a strategy and it can work. But when you start getting into specifics of a challenge and what's going to wow people, I think you nailed it by saying DLC skin, because that's just not an impressive thing to when you get a DLC. Either the skin is the best thing you've ever seen in your life, or it's just like, okay, fine, I guess I have this. And Jane's was a bit of a, I guess I have this. It was fine. But that narrative and the narrative that Nymphia was so bad is just kind of exactly speaking to this thing where I'm like, you guys already wrote the story and you don't have the stuff to back up the story that you're writing.
I think there's an argument to be made that Lazy Susan probably had the best energy transference.
Yeah.
Of like that is like how Plain acts. That's how, maybe a little more dexterous than Plain is in dancing, but still the attitude, the face. Plain literally put her exact makeup on her. It's like almost 1-for-1 exactly what she does to her face, she did to her partner's face, which is kind of what they want. And her Lazy Susan ends up looking like Gothy Ken doll, which is hysterical.
I was gonna say I think that's actually, for me, that was one of the negatives. You do have to have makeup face resemblance, but you can't always put your face on another girl. They have such different structure.
They do look like Tweedledee and Tweedle fucking stupid.
Which Plasma or
Jane and Lazy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I the first? And tell me if it was already noted and noticed. Is anyone else seeing Big Bird on Nymphia?
Yes.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Especially because
yellow and orange. Yes.
Yeah.
And then next to her, this specifically looks like in my favorite childhood movie, Follow That Bird, when Big Bird got painted blue.
Yeah.
So,
and
again,
somebody
still
also
family
pointed
resemblance.
out that Manila has a Big Bird look that looks a lot like just like you're not off the.
No.
They also look like chocobos.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a king, so like I'm not knocking the look. I'm just saying it's there.
It was one of those things where I think there's an argument to be made that Nymphia probably could have or should have won. I'll say could have. I don't want to say should. Could have won this week, but I do think the attitude transference is something that they really look for in a lot of this challenge. And we talked about it last week. The makeover challenge is always the challenge where they give the most BS things, they say the most wildest things so they can get away with it. This doesn't look enough like, you don't look, where's the family resemblance? I don't see it. And people could be looking like exact twins. I will say the critique, besides the TS critique, which it is what it is, whatever. I also didn't really like Michelle's critique of family resemblance. Yeah, I buy it. No, there was family, like they were two birds. Like that was a weird critique that she gave that didn't make sense. I feel I kind of have to agree with what you're saying, TK. It felt like they were like, well, we're hoping Nymphia stumbles, and then didn't put the marbles out, and then she didn't stumble, but then tried to pretend like she stumbled
Nymphia,
anyway.
it's banana peels.
Banana peels.
Yeah.
I was a little upset. Not that I didn't even like the plain look, and again,
Same.
What maybe the other part of what makes the TS critique a little just feel off base is that a lot of these makeover challenges, they're like, this has to be your brand. Transfer your brand to your drag daughter, to your drag sister. You know, when she talks like this, like to quote, the clown when she's picking shrimp out of her nails. It's really bizarre that they told Morphine this look is simple, regardless of whether we agree or not, but then complimented plain when it's just a corset. And there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy black and yellow, strong color combination, looks great on both of them. They're at, the booty looks great. Everything about it is perfection. Nothing wrong with it, but don't.
It's not necessarily elevated.
Don't dog.
It's yellow baited.
Yellow baited. They probably baited in those afterwards. Don't say that this is simple, but then you have somebody who's just in a bodysuit, and that's fine. But don't make it make sense.
And I also think they didn't give Morphine enough credit for the beautiful makeup family resemblance.
Yes.
The face. They're absolutely right. And I came too strong on Morphine was flawless. And then they critiqued it, and I was like, you're right. Because he is very masculine. There were things they could have done to deal with that. My other problem with that, though, is these are critiques that Cameron Michaels never got as a contestant. And it was almost like
he was prepping and they were scared.
It was really almost like, they were like, this guy's too hot for us to say bad things about. But there were a lot of times that Cameron's gorgeous body that he worked very hard on and deserves to praise, they gave strategies for how you deal with that. Like, you can't, the whole point is that you kind of don't just in this competition, especially when they ask for glamour, get to go on stage and look yoked. Like that's
I made the joke that that's Luisa from Encanto.
Yes. And
I think Latina looks gorgeous and absolutely beautiful. I guess maybe I just have a problem that the idea of like, you have to, I understand what they're saying. I still ultimately agree, but I wish the notion of like, why can't my drag character or my drag whatever be a buff
be a buff woman? I actually agree with that, but I will say if they're giving the critique, and I also think Morphine kind of should know that because she is so feminine that if we're talking Morphine's drag sister, a boa makes a ton of sense.
Big hair, like they were saying,
right? Exactly.
The proportionizing,
Yeah, I think
that word was said in season 10. Cameron Michaels, full circle, and they great word.
I think that it makes a ton of sense. She didn't get enough praise for everything that was right, and again, it just felt like, well, Morphine really needs to be in the bottom, so let's not leave any room for people to think that she was any good.
And I think part of it has to do with something that we've all been saying this season more than we said about All Stars, even, or that we've said about Canada or Down Under. Some of the same judging and not, but like the inconsistency of judging. I'm kind of ready to pick at the show. Stop the big girls, RuPaul Charles, pull back the facade, Michelle Visage. Like, I'm ready to start picketing, because the other thing that was painful here was, while the two gentlemen in the middle, the delicious vanilla stick toward the left there, Nick, thank you, and then the gentleman in the middle, while they have more narrow builds, three of the guys here really do have such incredibly strong wide builds, and not everybody hid them at all, and not everybody got dinged on it. And it felt very much like it wasn't even just the lack of investment on somebody like a Cameron Michaels level, but it felt like some of the girls were told it's okay that you're double wide, and some
You're
of the
you.
girls were told, why aren't you skinnier? And, you know, I love the diversity of body type here. It's either extremely amazing or extremely, extremely amazing and unachievable. And that diversity is really beautiful. But what I did think was amazing was, did you guys notice the rep here, though? Like, it's really beautiful. Pale, hairy dudes so rarely get represented outside of 1990s NBC sitcoms. And this guy didn't have to, you know, pretend that he appreciated the dialogue on Caroline in the City to do this. So I really, really do think that there was a lot unfair in the way these gentlemen were treated, just because they were all held to, oh my God, unrealistic body standards that not even these men could maintain. I can't believe what I just had to say. RuPaul literally has body standards so unrealistic. Male professional dancers can barely meet them.
And I mean, I feel like that was part of the thing here, is that from a professional standpoint and from a production company standpoint, these are actually the 5 men and the 5 contestants that she can pull onto this show and be pretty nasty to, because they work for her either way. Either way, they are going back to a RuPaul show and ain't nobody complaining.
And from what I've heard, the Vegas dancers love Rue. They like,
yeah, of course, because it's a much different thing for them. They are just there to prop her up while she does the shimmy, the shoulder, the finger wag, and
the invisible ribbons on her hips.
Thank you,
But also,
Kevo. I knew you'd get it.
The reciprocity, because I am telling you guys, every single fagazine on God's gay cyber earth ran 7-page spreads for these guys like it was Selena Gomez in Spring Breakers.
Like they are the new Fab Five.
Holy shit. And that means now these guys, one of them can be in this tour, one of them can be in this show, one of them can go launch a temporary show in New York.
One of them can host Drag Race Down Under.
And that's really the magic of what she is learning to do here. I was saying it earlier today. We really will need to reckon with at some point as a brand that Candy and Pep have been on shows that feature people the likes of which include Omarosa and, you know, obviously our Queen Phaedra. Like, we're talking about an elevation of this brand at the sole command of one very tall glamazon.
Well, and I think that's kind of a next step that I'm interested to see, because you go back even further than that. It's the Trixie and Katya's, the Alyssas, the people that really could not have built their own personal empire without Rue. And also are weird. It's like a mafia thing where like you're never quite out. You know, Trixie's hosting Pit Stop this year.
I was also saying that Alaska and Willem, even though they are so divorced, so much of their content is still generated
Drag Race.
Wow.
Just responding to Drag Race,
And you know, I mean, Trixie and Katya do a Netflix thing, which it's not World of Wonder. It's in no way connected, but you know, Trixie also does Pit Stop. They never say a bad word about Rue. I think technically they can if they want to, but like you just don't. And
you don't.
and I think part of that is because eventually some of those really large anchor points and those people that whose brands are really big on their own will tie back to World of Wonder in interesting ways, in ways that add to you know, everybody's ability to create value. And I think that's fine. I think that's cool. But it does sort of, you pay attention a lot when you see things like the dancers on the show, because I mean, like, you know, in season 5, after being made over into Nebraska, Derek Barry's boyfriend tried really hard to pull off a drag career. And I sort of felt like as soon as Nick was in drag, and like he made little jokes about it, but I was like, Lazy Susan's not going away. We're going to see Lazy Susan on tour for real.
I hope we do similar to how we see wintergreen every
Yes,
now and then.
100%. Me
Our-
too. Could not agree more. He was the one that was feeling the fantasy the most. I loved that.
But
I
I don't want, and can somebody help me remember her name? Q's girl.
Luna.
This whole look is like somebody took a Rorschach and Jackson Pollock and Cats and said, it's fine. I don't think this is the worst thing Q's ever done. This isn't even bad, but I do think it is a particularly like haunting look.
Yeah, haunting
in a way that I don't think this challenge was not elevated enough for how haunting these looks are.
And Jonah's big mad about the name too, which I get.
Luna's a very beautiful name, but like your name is Q. Why wasn't her director
Z?
A or T? Q and A, QT, like these are like
anything.
Single letter. Literally did not even matter what letter it is.
And this is really Q's whole thing. This is why I don't think she is the fourth contestant that's definitely possibly going to get the crown, is because it's that moment. She's having that Miss Fame moment where she keeps missing Rue asking, how's your head? She's so cerebral about the stuff that she wants to do that she keeps missing avenues of expansion and places where she could chill out a little bit and be a person and not be so hungry. And Nico, I think you're right. I came down hard on this. I thought Q was actually going to go home this week. And I realize now why they gave it such high marks. I don't think it is bad.
It's kind of upsetting.
It's a little bit upsetting. It's more like I don't feel like this will make... Q sometimes puts looks on the stage that I'm just like, I will remember that forever. And I will remember Q forever as the best constructor of looks on her season. Even if she wasn't always the person to get the best critiques on the runway, there was just so much wowing. There was so much creativity. She was so cool. And this, I thought, was one place where I was like, Q is going to knock my socks off with the look for this, because this is her moment to do it. And then my socks weren't quite knocked off, which is unfortunate, because when you set the bar high, sometimes even if you get really high, if you don't clear the bar, you don't impress people.
I think part of the two maybe things that maybe ding it for me, I saw nowhere near the bottom. She still did really great. Yeah. Luna had a really fantastic time. And like it was cute choreography. I'm going to give them that. I want to give props to what Q did. I do think, one, because we've never really seen Q do this kind of makeup, it feels a little, and the outfit isn't specifically Q, it feels a little bit missed of, this is Q-centric. This is, pardon the pun or don't, quintessential Q. It's a little, on season 12, when Crystal Method did the very out-of-the-box Bert and Ernie look, that made sense because we kind of understood Crystal to be somebody who has a much more twisted, weirder mind. Not that Q doesn't have that, but it does feel this was less about, I know these outfits work and I love them, more about that, less about, this is my brand. I don't know if this speaks to the Q brand specifically, but she still looks great. So it's hard to, I think that's maybe where I'm personally finding the small disconnect of like, you did good this week, but it's not what I was expecting.
And if I can just jump on that, I want to comment on something about not what I was expecting until this all came together. And then your point of Bert and Ernie with Crystal Method, and Kevo, your earlier point of Big Bird. I think this kind of looks like Ickis and Oblina.
Yeah.
From Our Real Monsters?
Our Real Monsters, yes.
I think that in some ways then, I wonder if Saphira's, because it's those big, beautiful blue geodes, if she was some sort of ice queen, and this is from a challenge that didn't happen.
Especially the way this got discarded. Yeah.
I really wonder if this was a challenge that didn't happen, and that's what made some of this matching a little tough, because I could even imagine Morphines is meant to emulate him from Powerpuff Girls or some other kind of sexually charged fiery character. I really wonder what happened here, because the deeper thing I'm realizing is, without being like malicious, but like Q, if she had known that the whole thing was make matchy, I don't know that would have been her go-to.
So I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but because they know the makeover challenge is pretty much a gimme at this point, it's one of the staple challenges.
Yeah.
They now often bring looks from home. And that's a little bit, sometimes I'm like a little bit of a cop-out, but on the other hand, I'm like, don't make them really design another outfit again, because they also have to put another person in full drag to begin with. You already don't give them enough time to do things. But Saphira discarding her original dress, I saw someone say online, she should have known that there's going to be dancing involved. They always have this dancing in it. Like, she should have known that she couldn't really be able to move in it. To which I want to say, kind of yes, but really no, because they do not know what kind of makeover they're doing if they're going to do it. And they kind of blindsided them a little bit by saying, no, you have to have like a full choreographed number. And she was like, well, I can't really do that. She can move in it, but she can't dance in it. Yes, they do ask for them to dance, but not to the level that they asked for this week, which is why she kind of had to get rid of it. I do think at that point she should have tried to make something else. I don't know how much time there was. I know on season 8, the season 8 makeover challenge was also a design challenge, and Bob literally had no time and did her makeup in 20 minutes. And I think something like the outfit she made either for herself or the little woman that she was making over was she literally just copied a RuPaul look. She copied RuPaul's roller skate look.
That also, that choreo, Saphira could have done. Like, my point being, like, sometimes they ask for more. The little woman choreo, Saphira could have kept the dress.
Yes.
But you knew that they were matching them with professional dancers. So if you were not prepared to like get into it and high kick, this wasn't old men who you're just doing
who killed Judy Garland,
who murdered Judy Garland. So you can't let them move too fast or they might run away before you get them. I thought Saphira really weighed the best of a lot of bad options and went down the correct path. She just didn't make all the stops on that path, including just figuring out a couple more ways to embellish her sister daughter's outfit, and that does kind of speak to how good everyone is. I don't think this is bad at all. I just think it is unfortunately one of the lower ones of the night through kind of circumstance. This wasn't even in Alaska being a bit of a self-involved dick and just not getting her partner's stuff together because she wanted to look good. This was, okay, I can't move. I'm going to definitely be in the bottom. So let's get something where I can move. Oh, whoops, I sort of forgot to work a whole plan in with that.
And I talked about it before. I guess there might have been some hesitation because she borrowed the outfit from Plane. It's not her look. You might feel uncomfortable about altering somebody's outfit because you also don't know. Like, I don't know if like Plane borrowed that. I don't know if that's specifically hers. There's a lot that goes into it. We obviously didn't know, but she borrowed it from Plane. We know that much. I really wish she had a blue sash or even a blue shoe, something just to tie the two things together. Because they're like when Michelle was like the Snow Family resemblance. It's these looks are just completely different, and even the hair is just very different. I also don't know if she gave Shakira the best makeup, but Shakira was having a great night.
Yeah, I think the orange and the funny stuff, the orange funny business.
She's wearing Maya's entrance outfit.
Is she really?
Huh.
Kevy, can you pull up Maya's entrance look?
Wait, no, Maya's entrance look was a Mexican thing, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, sorry, that's Geneva. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, hold on.
Because it's been a long season.
It's been a long season.
Which one?
That is okay. And here's the thing.
Oh my God, you're right.
I also
not literally, but yeah.
I also did not love Saphira's lip sync quite the way I wanted to. I don't know that she beat Morphine.
That's the same look.
Oh gosh.
Well, but okay, so here, yes.
I mean, it's literally, I think, the top half of it. I'm not kidding.
Like from the bodice up, it's It's kind of the same look.
Yeah.
If she had that look on Shakira, it would have been fine.
Right.
I actually wonder if
Yes.
it's lighting.
I
and it's
do
the same
wonder.
look.
I do wonder if the feathers are borrowed.
And like you can actually see, it's like another skirt underneath this skirt. It's
Right.
the ruffle on top of the other ruffle.
Yeah.
I would listen to this girl group. I would.
Yeah,
I would too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is Black DWV.
Even if the worst thing that happened was it was all Michelle's, I'd still like it.
SMS?
I agree that I did not love the lip sync. And this is where we get into the thing. I think Morphine maybe did better in the lip sync, but Morphine.
Yeah, Saphira
When-
shouldn't have been on the bottom.
Well, I don't know.
No. I'm not. We're not going to go that.
Yeah, I think Saphira should have been in the bottom, but this takes me all the way back to the point I've been making since Plasma. Yeah, Maya definitely won that lip sync, but Plasma had the better track record, and Plasma went home. Here, I do think Morphine maybe won this lip sync, and Saphira stayed because Saphira has the better track record. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Well, I do think there's an argument of versatility here, actually. Like,
Mm.
Morphine, I did not see a single move in this lip sync from Morphine that I had not seen do or die to stay already. I've yet to see Saphira dance for her life. So there's a different energy to seeing similar moves. It's the same reason Maya did have to go home. Girl, I've seen those tricks 4 times. You're good. Morphine didn't have anything left in the tank. And if you're told it's do or die to get into the top 4 and you have nothing new for me, then what the hell do you have for my finale for me? What do you have for next week for me? I did think some of Saphira's dancing was less than her best. I feel that what she did provide had humor, sexuality, attitude, and a general command of the stage. And I felt that I got 3 of those things from Morphine. I didn't really get the humor, but then I can see just that sliver more dexterity from this particular lip sync from Saphira.
I personally, I think I'm maybe in a little bit more of TK's camp, where I think maybe the lip sync for me was like 53 Morphine, 47 Saphira. At that point, it's really close to call. And at that point, it's like, okay, track record kind of has to come in a little bit. What I will say, and I love Saphira, and I'm rooting for Saphira to take the crown as one of my potential winners. It would have been a gag if Morphine sent her home. You send home a person with 4 wins. They will never do it, but I would love it so
Would have been
much.
full on Marina Summers.
I mean, my thing is, I do feel, because people really, when I was like, I don't think Plasma should have gone home, I was alone in that camp. And a lot of it was like, yeah, because Maya won the lip sync, so Maya has to stay. And I do think Morphine a little bit won this lip sync. And my point is merely, it's back to the thing with, I don't believe Jane was the winner here, but I do believe 4 wins versus 4 wins seems like, man, we only crown the best of the best on RuPaul's Drag Race. And I get the storyline. I respect trying to build the storyline, but you gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to fool old TK here, and I'm just not getting all the elements. And I just feel that there's a lot of lazy picking and choosing of lazy Susaning of the rules, of the standards, of the expectations, of the storylines. And my biggest thing is I don't think we need to be doing all that. It's not even, this was the most compelling cast we've ever had on the show, the most talented. And I think letting the chips fall where they may a little bit more, instead of really like white knuckling certain ideas about who needs to be here and who needs to go, might have resulted in what I think would have been a better show. If I'm alone in this demographic and everybody else is like, no, it's fine as it is, then World of Wonder is clearly doing something right for their, business.
Well, in that regard, like I think it's interesting because what you're reading, and I hear Jonah agreeing, I don't think anybody's wrong. I'm not. I think what I hear is like, I actually think back on that Maya Plasma lip sync, and actually I'm thinking I actually said the same thing then. Plasma showed me nothing new, and Maya had another trick or two. And then the next week, Maya had no new tricks, and I said it was time to go. I
She
think,
didn't go next week.
well, the next time,
Yes,
right?
the next time. Yes.
For me, a big part of this actually does come down to brand versatility. I think there is that third thing we don't talk about. We put too much emphasis on this idea that a Ru girl needs to make Ru laugh and also be multifacetedly talented. But the truth is, I think the other thing we need to think about is this person has to literally represent for the brand. And I really wonder if there is a certain point at which they say, okay, but how many times can you be on the bottom and me say you're the winner? Like, I think that's even built into the show. And so, like, I think they need to address it, because you're right. They lie. But they really need to address it, because it's it's been a part of it for years now at this point.
And you brought up two different points, and one of them, I think, but they're both really important, but the idea of versatility and bringing sort of your brand versatility to a lip sync, I think you're right. I mean, I think that is part of the calculus. My bigger thing is somebody needs to announce to the viewers
Olympic
at home.
Scoring.
Right. These are the criteria. It is, you might appear to do better in the lip sync and still get sent home, and here is why. Or you might have 4 wins and get sent home because of the lip sync, and here is why.
Yeah.
And I think you've identified another factor that I think you're right. If somebody doesn't necessarily do as great, but they have these other factors, yeah, they ought to stay. But we need to kind of get an idea of that. And then similarly, she needs to say, Maya, you were fantastic. You can't be in the bottom 4 times and stay. I know every queen says, if I have to lip sync every week until I get the crown, I'll do it. That is not how the show works.
3 strikes, you got to go.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
even think 3 strikes you got to go, but
it doesn't have to.
There is a limit.
Yeah, there's
Your goodwill meter can run out.
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't need to be a specific number, but absolutely, we're just
and
saying
I think she just
that's
has
not
to say
realistic.
Ellen.
Right. I think she just has to say it, because again, the first time it happened where I was just like, she can't keep doing this, was Cameron Michaels. I don't think she should have sent Cracker home. I think Cracker should have stayed. But then at that point, I was just like, well, then just let Cameron be in the top. Let Cameron win. You gotta explain to me what we're doing here.
Well, they were ready to sack. Cracker didn't give them the storyline they wanted with Aquaria, so
100%. Yeah,
Cracker.
She's getting the chop.
They gave her the win. They gave her the win before, and then they sent her home.
Yeah.
I hear what you guys are saying, and I think you've identified the problem in general with reality competition.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, it's not fair. It never was fair. It won't be fair. Point blank. Period.
Mark Burnett.
It always will be at the end of the day. Not only Ru's decisions, but production's decisions of what they want to do, and have the chips, and they will manipulate their chips to fall wherever they want to go. There is no, we're past the days, I think, of allowing stuff of reality TV just kind of being like, all right, here's a camera, go. And I don't think we're going to have that anymore, because I think there's too much at stake.
Yeah.
There's too much, as Nico said, the brand recognition, the brand name, what this title carries, what you do on your press tours, what you do for marketing, what you do for Work the World, Vegas Live.
There's
All-Stars.
employees, there's money, there's fiduciary responsibilities to event planning, there's expectation of sustenance of the brand until certain dates in the future that have already been promised.
Yes. So it's, and that's, we could say that about Top Chef, about Project Runway.
Yeah.
About literally,
Well, actually, if I can interrupt real quick, I wanted to ask you guys, do you feel that this is true of Project Runway? Because I felt like, from what little I've seen, and I've seen less, that when we were watching later seasons, that like you guys were much more able to predict consistent judging. And there was, I felt like, less weird gaslighty stuff. But I could be totally wrong. So
it's less common in Project Runway, but there have been a number of examples where they've been like, this is horrible, we hate this, and then you see like a fan reaction, and the fans love it, and they think it's the most amazing thing in the entire world.
I think this speaks to something that we talk about a lot, where Project Runway's judging on something like even Gordon Ramsay shows that we've watched. They have more of a fiduciary responsibility to the what art or thing that they are judging. Fashion is fashion, and Nina Garcia can have her opinions about what fashion is personally all she wants, but there are also specifically fashion trends. There isn't exactly a drag industry by which RuPaul is judging these girls' ability to perform. It's the thing that we always say, whose name is at the very top of everything. It's RuPaul's Drag Race. So it's a little bit, moving goalpost, but it's the fact that it is her competition, and there isn't really any sort of drag industry by which she is responsible for making sure that she isn't just, Nina Garcia can't just say, everyone needs orange hats this season, and if you don't include orange hats, you fail. That's not fashion. That's her being weird. Ru can say, orange hats all season, because it's just RuPaul's Drag Race.
Ru
Face
is the industry.
keenies.
Face keenies.
Face keenies, absolutely.
I'm glitching. So the big thing I want to say with this is top 4, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. I am very excited to see where this season is going to go. But more than anything,
let's save that for the outro.
Evil.
What a genius.
Hateful. Got it.
I
got it. Run it and got it.
I really do want to see who's going to win this season. What I miss, honest to goodness, what I really miss is I wish that Ru would say to us at the beginning of a season, oh, and trust me, there's surprises. And then we all find out, everybody, us included, the semi-penultimate week or the anti-penultimate week, they reveal that everyone who was eliminated has a chance to come back in for the top 5, and all hell breaks loose. I just want something silly at this point, because what we're talking about is they are sort of bound. I spent a lot of years in teaching education, and one of the things that I always say is, if you're dealing with a multiple choice test, you should consider the answers against each other, because that tells you a lot. They can only fuck with the format so far before it's no longer the format. They worked so hard to give us a top 4 that fit every bit of RuPaul's Drag Race's format. I think now what they need to do is they need to break free of that formatting. I would be devastated to lose 3 of these top 4 queens, and I do believe that the 4th queen deserves her spot. I maybe would have preferred, Plasma as a Broadway boy, but, nothing against Q, who is also a phenomenal Broadway-esque performer. Just, some people love Patty and some people love Bernadette. You got tastes. It's fine. So we thank you, Cola Scola. So we really have an amazing finale coming our way. I can't wait. And I want to get everybody's final take. What do you think going to this top 4? Oh, I just want to say one last thing before I can forget. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. This was the East River in 1888 for Plain Jane, in that this was the least toxic it has been in the last century. She was kind of lovely this week. She didn't say one shitty thing. And I just want to say, I imagine it's welling up like a dark canker inside her. And as soon as rap for this episode ended, she let out a scream that pierced the moon. But Plain Jane was the sweetest she's been all season this episode. And I just really thought it was lovely.
Mama, kudos to you for that, for spilling.
Spilled everywhere. It's all over me.
My last few things. One, the tucking moment was absolutely hysterical.
Oh, it was unhinged.
I have no idea what Morphe's talking about, but I know what Nymphia is talking about, and how Nymphia talks is how I was taught to talk. Not that I talk regularly for any particular reason, just know how to do it. I don't know what Morphe was doing, but I know what Nymphia was doing, and I understood what Nymphia was. But the entire action of this was hysterical. 2, Morphine, I love you. Probably one of the biggest like turnarounds from a Meet the Queens to like me falling in love with the Queen as a
Ever.
persona. I truly think she's genuinely like one of the. I don't want to like ascribe like specific personality traits because I don't know her. I only know her from a TV show, so we're gonna.
You love what you know.
I love what I know, and I love the face. I love the dancing. I love the personality. I love everything about her, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah, I fully agree. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, TK, what you got for me?
Yeah, I fully agree with Jonah. I also had a big turnaround on her, and I remember big turnaround from first week to third week because it was when Jane and Plane went after Amanda, and Morphine said, "That's my sister. Be careful." Because in her first episode, she is a little bit shady, a little bit. She had some stuff to say in the confessionals that she was not saying in the workroom, but that's okay. That she had that moment where she was so defensive of Amanda. You could see that even though she likes to kiki and she likes to read a girl, she is really sweet and kind. And this is just a fantastic shot of her pointing to her vagina. So congratulations.
Good job.
They were talking about something, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter.
This is always my least favorite week coming up. This is like the second to last week of school. What do you got?
Okay, my one last thing. I just thought about it. I wanted to say it before. Part of what I think made them want to give this win to Plane is the prospect of somebody in a single non-All-Stars season winning 5 challenges. And now we have 2 potential people to do it.
Yeah.
Which was winning 4 is already a big feat, and yes, a shared win, blah blah blah. Who the fuck cares? No, none of that shared.
I just want to remind you that nobody gave me credit for my mini challenge wins, and I just kind of feel that as a construction working drag queen, that's just a little bit unfair.
Thank you, Lucy LaDuca. Let loose.
Let the fuck loose.
But yeah, we will have a potential 5 winners on a main series. Main series season.
Yeah. But yeah, I never love this week because it's senioritis to me.
I love that comparison.
We're so close to the end, and I love the big finale. I always love the finale episode. I love bringing everybody back. I love when everybody gets the chance to look their absolute best. They get to bring their talent team with them to make sure they look their best. Everything is choreographed. If Jinx doesn't like the song, we're going to sing the song 5 times and you're all just going to sit through it. So I'm a little bit just like, okay, we're going to get through this. And then we're probably going to get into one of the weirder reunions. Because
this is all the beef that they have, and it's not real.
Well, this is a cast that really loves each other, except for Jane is a monster, and I just feel like it's just gonna be like, okay, Amanda, what's your problem with Jane? Plasma, what's your problem with Jane?
After
Done.
the groundwork they've been laying on social media for months, what kind of reunion
exactly.
can we expect? Yeah,
get into it. That. It's your turn. Jump into the pool. So that'll be funny and interesting. Hopefully nobody walks out, but they're all amazing. They're all so talented. I do really think I'm gonna end up being Team Saphira, but I'll be so happy to see any of them do their thing. Weird Untucked. I did not realize that Honey Davenport was her best friend.
A level of the connections I was not expecting.
Yeah, that's because I've seen her associated with Katya so much from her Boston years. I never knew anything about her and Honey Davenport, a queen that we don't hear a lot from, but who looked gorgeous. And Kelsey Ballerini exists,
and she danced with drag queens.
Yeah, thanks, girl.
Kevo, would you flip back an image really quick?
To what?
That one. Kevo, I want to get your final thoughts on the episode, and I also just want to say it's really brave of Q to come in dressed like the wallpaper from the background of an episode of Dark Shadows. I just think that's really a lot.
Power Rangers villain. It's giving Power Rangers villain. Meanwhile, speaking of looks, I really, really, really appreciated that after us taking the Mickey all season out of Saphira, for this Leap Day William outfit that she has been wearing in this confessional all season to provide us with the sport version.
What a genius. What an absolute genius.
Icon. I can't and icon is basically.
Icon and I can't.
Everyone talks about Nymphia's yellow, but this is what I'm going to be talking about up into the finale next month. So this was great, and I really appreciated that. And yeah, I'm in. I don't know if I would have switched between these two, Q and Morphine. I would have switched either of them out for someone else in the top 4, probably. But 3 out of 4 being ones that I really think from the beginning were huge contenders for the finale ain't bad. And I don't hate either of them being in the top 5, just not necessarily my picks. I also agree with the sentiment that not necessarily the right one of them went forward, but it's been a fun season, and I think it's been a lot of great talent, and I think we have an exciting finale potentially in store for us.
Well, from that amazing wrap up on the US over to the RuK, let's talk about a well-deserved win. This is like when Trixie won her All-Stars, which, I kind of always feel like Ru does not care for Trixie. And so Trixie winning almost sometimes seems in spite of Ru.
I think Ru does not care for Trixie's drag. I think she really likes how much money Trixie makes and Trixie and Bianca to me are the ones where she's like, they don't give me any shit. They make us all a bunch of money and they only say nice things about me. Their drag is garbage, but they're good to go.
And I kind of felt that way about Ru and Tia Coffee.
I think Ru loves Tia Coffee.
But I don't think she saw her as a winner.
I think Ru loves her personality, but Ru has made very clear she hated her drag in the first season. Yeah. And I think this was like, okay, I now don't at least have to be embarrassed about you any longer.
And don't get me wrong, I literally said she's one of the funniest people I've ever seen on stage in my life. I maybe wanted it for Marina because I thought that Marina's level of exuberant polish sort of befits this world stage. Like, I would love to see Marina win at Monaco. I would love to see Tia Coffee win at the old Brown Derby. And like, not in a mean way. Like, I don't think Marina's gonna have a lot of other chances, but Tia is gonna be a winner for every day.
I think UK versus the world, I get why it's Tia. I wouldn't have even let Marina be on the show. I would have saved her for global. I think like both Marina and Grand Dame are bringing something to the table that says not just a bunch of countries in a country, but says global all-stars. Like, Marina especially, I don't know if Global All-Stars is still just a pipe dream or if it's already shot or what's going on, but I would love to see both Le Grand Dame and Marina continue to compete against other countries because they really do flagship an entire culture and nation in a way that is sort of next level, even if they didn't absolutely slay every moment of this particular competition.
I love all of that. One of the things that I think we were maybe a little bit at a disadvantage this season was we didn't, for all that we watched literally every English speaking or Ru hosted season this year, we were at a loss for
you hadn't seen some of the
Legrand, Marina. And one of the things that I was kind of afraid was that I wouldn't get to know them maybe as well as I already knew Tia or Hannah, who I came in, a big fan of. But, Kevo, I really feel like throughout the course of this season, these girls kind of stuck with us kind of clearly, despite kind of being bum rushed into it.
Yeah, for not being exactly the same thing as an All-Stars, it gave huge All-Stars vibes.
Yeah.
The truncatedness really helped. I kept being like, no, the finale can't possibly be this week. They were almost too chill about it. So for even only being 8 weeks, we really got to know these girls very well. It was nice.
And, Jonah, I would love to know what you think of specifically, I mean, all of it, but specifically what you thought about Hanaconda beating Marina.
So I think people have their love blinders on for Marina a little too hard, and not that we shouldn't. We should give Marina everything because she is everything. She was born to do this, as RuPaul said, and she truly is a phenomenal performer that really does make me. I do want to watch Philippines, and same extension to La Grande Dame. I want to watch France both seasons, to see where they came from. These are amazing queens, and yes, I understand there's time and polish, blah blah blah. But how did they lose? On initial thought, I was like, rigged. This is rigged for Hannah, and eventually for Tia. No. Let's call it like it is a little. We can love Marina. We can want the best for. Oh, man, this was so funny. She's so fucking stupid. It's amazing.
So stupid.
But Marina really didn't feel the most comfortable in that lip sync. It felt like she didn't really know a lot of the words. She got the backup vocals, but not all of the vocals. And it really, end of the day, it is a lip sync. It's something we talked about throughout the entire week. Something we talked about, whatever. As much as there's things about production that they will do to have things in their favor, have it come out for a specific outcome, whatever it may be, there has to be a level of, I'm going to say it this way, sanctity, where unless the lip sync is completely dead even, where they can kind of just do what they want or close enough to dead even, if someone doesn't really know the words, kind of said this with Barrage, then and you keep the person, even if they have more potential, even if they have the better track record, whatever, then what is the point of the lip sync to begin with?
Yeah.
You have to have it. You have to have something. You have to have a marketer, a demarcation of okay, this is where it's putting it all on the line, whether it's for your life or whether for the crown. Marina unfortunately didn't know the words as well as Hannah did. And Hannah was just singing the song.
Well, and can I actually ask you a question about that? Because there's a specific performance that's always kind of stuck with me. I love singing really fast. It's anybody who knows my original music or knows how I write. I think singing really fast, pack in as many words as you can. Nelly Furtado has some incredible speed singing, I Will Make You Cry, which is why when she told Nira she was packing too many syllables in a minute, I was like, mama, check. But the lip sync I go to for exquisite lip movement that was maybe pointed to a little too well was Coco does Paula Abdul's, I want to say it's Cold Hearted Snake.
Yes.
And she points to her mouth because she wants them to see her mouth moving just so perfectly. And I go to that moment in particular because as a trained singer, I feel like elocution is part of what you do. Duh. But the more I've thought about that over the years, when I do karaoke, do I do perfect elocution? No, not unless I'm trying to bang the guy in the front table. It's just not going to happen. But if I'm thinking about it, there really is an art to, if you're going to BB your way through a song, right? I need you to do it with a really big hat on. So when it whips, I can't see it. Right. Which, by the way, Kevo, could you go back to that group shot for 1 second of the girls all sitting? Because I can't stop thinking one thing about this image, which is
This one?
I'm so sorry. The girls who were eliminated. Returning queens. Can you guys just see how fucking furious May May is that Scarlett showed up in higher hair? She's literally so angry. She is in a hat way up the high to God. And then here's Scarlett just coming in with a dark McFlurry to beat her out.
I mean, that's Storm. That's literally just Storm when she's married to T'Challa. And then I don't know who she is, but she's mad.
She big mad.
No. She's Celine.
Yes, she is.
This is Beetlejuice. I just got that. It's the hair and it's the red wedding dress. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. And then this is the ice dragon from Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Or
it's Shimo.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! Look, and somebody came as Jimbo and Jinx Monsoon's giant baby.
As long as we're over here.
Oh, John Burrs.
as long as we're over here talking about this crew, we should zip back to the insane reveal of Michelle hosting a micro reunion.
You mean Michelle doing exactly what I predicted earlier this season, slowly ceding her super Rue dominance? Thank you. Not that anybody here disagreed with me, but
Rue ceding her dominance to Michelle.
Supremacy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Look at you sucking up to mama. Somebody knows how to get all the good words.
Well, if it worked for Michelle, it's going to work for me.
There it is.
Listen to these baby birds.
Yes, Nico, you absolutely did say it, and I think like it.
The writing was on the wall. I'm not.
It's wild to see.
But
unfold.
it's interesting. Like the fact that they're just like slowly. She did that episode where it really did seem like Rue was sick. Like that. Michelle was in
power
there.
creep.
Right. Yes, this is power creep. I also and this again speaks to my like World of Wonder. You guys are being too weird. Just be transparent, because I feel like in that episode, if they had said, hey, Rue's a little under the weather this season, so I'm just going to do it. Or if they had said, as in this one in particular, as we know, I'm doing, they might not have known at this point, but let's pretend, if they knew that she was going to do Australia, if they said, I'm going to be doing Australia next season, and I would love the chance to talk to all you girls, it would have been a lot cooler than having this moment where you're just like, I love Michelle more than anybody, but like she's just suddenly fucking here hosting the reunion.
The thing is, it's the UK, and the UK is having a press problem right now, where when someone is sick and needs to take a reduced role,
yes,
they're struggling to communicate that with the public.
Especially when it's somebody who's a queen.
Yeah,
it's a country problem.
Royalty is at issue here. You're right.
Somebody get Lord.
And Rue are both victims.
And the fact that they have an actual talk show host as one of the guest judges, and Graham Norton, who could have done it.
Oh, yeah. Is that what he does? I thought he was just a professional grinder user.
That is a side hustle. Just
got it.
Yeah.
By the way, I just need to say it because I kept it to myself this season. But there kind of isn't an age at which Graham Norton stops being sexy to me. And
no,
it's
like it's actually like 25. Like the really old 2001 Graham Norton show, he is not as cute as 2010 and onward.
Yeah, no, he gets like, I think he's so handsome, and I love him, and he's so sexy.
Like Steve Carell, he needed to be a daddy.
Yeah.
Steve Carell wasn't unattractive or anything, but like daddy Steve Carell. Ooh,
like I want to like, and on that subject, and like fashion and drag queens and sort of drag kings, really, in speaking about it, like I want to fuck the genius of Bowie and Nile Rodgers working together on Let's Dance.
Yeah,
but Bowie isn't fuckable until I'm afraid of Americans.
Poor Blue.
Oh my god,
Blue's face when she was like, "There's an actual cash prize and not a song that you're not actually recording for RuPaul. You're doing one verse." This is her reaction. This was her.
That's what you got for doing the first seasons of crap. Don't do first seasons of anything, man.
No, sir.
No.
Well, and I do think though, one of the things that Michelle offers, speaking of Blue, and I wish that Blue had recorded "Oops" by Blue Cantrell. But speaking of Blue and Michelle flat out saying, no, I love that Blue eliminated Pangina. Like, I don't know why more of you don't play that way. Yeah. I was cracked by it.
Yeah.
And like the idea that for Rue, this is her CEO position, right? She's not going to make those comments like she used to anymore. In fact, we have seen Rue slowly replace the "I'm funny, snarky John Waters" with the quality of the polish never comes off. Like in these sorts of reunions and finales.
On camera.
Yeah, on camera. Thank you. Michelle here was sort of like a nasty fucking Jersey girl at a diner at 2:30 in the morning after going to Icon. Like she was just a fucking Hazlitt slut.
Listening to White Snake, White Plane.
White Snake. No, you had it right. That's terrible but true. And so I'm telling you, like she really summoned up the fucking nasty Denny's bitch that she is.
And thank God she had Mayhem there to back her up.
Oh my God, Mayhem being the absolute queen bitch that Mayhem, like, I mean, queen, bitch. She was like, no, I would rather defeat you people.
Yeah.
I loved it. May is
And
amazing.
I think she actually had a very good reason. Like, we're already all the best by being here. You don't need to worry about keeping somebody one more episode so you can beat the best. I don't think she's wrong. I think talking about it a little more will maybe change things for the better so that All Stars doesn't feel so rote.
And that's why I want it to be more of a social game.
Yeah.
Have it be Drag Race Big Brother or Traders or whatever, where you're making alliances, you're making friends.
Well, and that is the thing I've always said about Trixie winning is part of the thing was they all got to participate in the process, and Shangela was rude to all of them. Shangela was not pleasant to be around, and when the girls were professionally given some this wasn't like she's our best. It was Trixie. She's not always the most cuddly person. So
No,
this
that was even part of her storyline that season was Trixie sometimes comes off a little cold to people she's working with or fans.
Yeah,
And like,
but professionally, in this setting where we're all professional, Trixie's coldness is more preferable to Shangela just being an all-out diva that is not really great to work with.
Wait, so hold on. If you get eliminated first, you're the pork chop. But if you get eliminated first and come back, you're the Shanji Vanji. Because
Shanji
Vanji. They both came back after one episode eliminations. That's amazing. And that's something that I think is what this reunion offered me. I'm so glad you brought up that style of All Stars, because while I certainly don't think John Burr sitting up there feeling oh so sorry for herself she was sour.
I saw the back of you though.
Oh,
Cleared her
just
runway.
not having a moment for any of these bitches.
We were ready for takeoff because Mama was cleared.
It was also, I just want to say that May, if you're gonna keep wearing these Janet inspired looks where you look like you're about to tell me that it's gonna make your body sweat.
This is a reference to her first look that she made on season 10 that she
thank you.
won, where it was the gloves.
But do you remember the Busta video that I'm referring to? What's it gonna be? It took me a minute. I also, oh yeah, please.
It was just very funny because Jombers and Scarlett were both fuming
In the same color,
Ninja babes
with the same hair.
It was same color, same hair. Didn't win.
It was awkward. Jombers at least knew how to roll with it a little bit. Scarlett made it awkward and couldn't have any fun.
It was like watching The Office. It was a little too cringy.
It was like watching her roast.
I understand. She just wanted to hear Hannah say no. It's personal. I didn't want to go. I didn't like you
as much. Marina's. I'm closer
like
friends
you.
with Marina. Yeah, I don't like you. Yeah, it was so weird because I think I never buy it, but I think if you are the queen and you do the whole like, I think you just couldn't handle me. That's cute and that's fine. And then you just shut up and you don't say much else, except pleasant things and funny things. But if you really want to get at it, I think, for you to say, I think you guys were just scared that I'm so good, and then to shut up, that's great. If that's your brand, if your brand is that, perfect.
May in her elimination this year.
Yeah. If you are like, no, you need to explain to me the calculus that went on when you eliminated the best person on the show.
The lady who didn't remember to hit her own gong.
And your children's children.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yeah. Don't ask, tell. It was so weird, and man, I like Scarlett a lot of the time, but you sort of killed a moment there, friend.
Scarlett, in this finale, Scarlett was kind of like finding out that you're an inch too tall for the ball pit at McDonald's. She just had the absolute most, I can't believe you would do this to me when you knew how much I was looking forward to coming here and winning. And like, she really, really, it was uncomfortable because I'm a big Scarlett fan. She won me over. But it was even like when she was like, am I the drama? Like, sweetheart, you're saying it to RuPaul, so it shouldn't sound rote. You should still have that awe, even if you don't care that you're putting your hands in front of the Chinese theater. It's still Grauman's and you still look grateful.
She's fuming, babe. Something I also want to talk about, I alluded to it earlier. There was a lot of talk this season that this was rigged. There was pushed by production, rigged for Tia. No, I outside of maybe her controversial win, but she didn't even get the badge, so who even cares? In the 7 performance, like there was nothing about Tia's performance that was like, no, I don't know what the judges are seeing. They're trying to tell me she did amazing, and I just don't see it. No, she did great. She had a really solid season overall.
Yeah.
She won her lip syncs, I think, personally, fair and square. I don't...
Can I read into that? I mean, and please, and build onto that. I think maybe people could see that she got a lot of spotlight. Like, she had all of those emotional moments because of so much that went on in her life. But doesn't that kind of explain it?
Yes, but yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think people are confusing narration and protagonism. The hero, she's the hero of the season, with favored. I really do not think Tia was favored at all this season. I think she was judged properly. I really do not think there was a challenge she did bad in.
I mean, you decide what you give to them to work with. And, I thought they lived for all of the top 4. They loved Le Grand Dame. If you're going to say anybody got... I love her too. I think she's phenomenal. But if you're going to say anybody got outsizedly beloved critiques, like to the point where you're maybe like, okay, this is a bit much, it was Le Grand Dame, who unequivocally did not win. They loved Marina too, who just is so cunty and so gorgeous, and they loved that about her. And again, she just got so many really amazing critiques. I thought
she got 2 you were born to do this, and she got a trapdoor bit.
Yeah,
RuPaul gave her everything.
And I thought by comparison, they loved a lot of Tia's stuff. They loved a lot of her performances and like what she brought. They never were as effusive about her looks.
That was the word I was going to use. They were never effusive. I was going to so agree with you.
Yeah. And she won. Like, it's so different than when we look at America. We look at the season in America, and sometimes they're just like, you are in the this is not good, and you're like, this is completely fine. It's not, maybe not the winner of the episode, but this is fine.
Can I build on that? Because I keep bringing it up because I'm more fascinated about it than anything. And the numbers already look good. So I'm feeling really good. Mrs. Carter, it looks like she's going to have the week she really needs to have for Billboard.
Oh, I've got a wrinkle for you, but go.
J-Lo failed album this year.
Yep.
Justin Timberlake failed album this year.
Both failed tours.
Yeah. And this whole thing going on where there's almost this sense of like, and I don't think this is what happened with those two. I think those both got dings for dings. But like, what I really fucking hated that they did to my precious Down Under, my only representative of Down Under, was one of the things they said to Hannah Conda constantly was, well, I mean, but you've always been funny.
Yeah.
And one of the things they kept saying to Le Grand Dame and Marina was, you're such an unknown. Yeah. And to Tia, they just kept saying, oh my God, finally, most improved.
Yeah. Just a funny thing, the CDs and vinyl for Cowboy Carter are missing 5 tracks, and they're not giving refunds.
No.
So
too expensive to repress the entire thing.
Yeah.
Missing? How do you make that mistake?
I think they're intentionally left off for production reasons, because there's also the entire album
getting fired now.
The album is incredibly long.
The album is incredibly long. It would be difficult to press, but all of the credits remain unknown. None of them are published, including in those vinyls. And so there's some talk about like those tracks are not cleared, and so this is also happens to be the week that Billie Eilish got out there and said that the reason
special editions are bullshit.
Yeah, because environmentally they're really bad for the environment. So what a terrible time for Beyonce to technically need to press more records.
And the other part of it that she put in there a little bit was like, and it artificially inflates the sales.
Right.
So she even kind of snuck in, oh, well, when you sell 6.4 million copies of an album and it turns out 400,000 people bought multiple editions because they had to get 2 tickets to your tour, or you know what I mean? Like,
it's James Cameron putting Avatar back in theaters again
to beat Avengers by more. It's
so I just I find interesting wrinkles in the narrative, and there always are. But yeah, I mean, and to take it all the way back to your point, it was a little bit like, Hannah, you're so ugly, but thank God you're funny. Like, we do think you're hilarious, but God, are you busted? Which is why, like, all things considered, I'm very happy that she made it to the top 2, because it did give a little bit of, like, you know, Hannah, for all that you are your own quirky self, we love you. Tia, we love you. And
none for Mama Sausage. Bye.
Please go, Kevin.
No, he said bye.
Oh, bye. I think you had something there. I'm so sorry. Something I want to interact with what Hannah said, that she thinks that Down Under doesn't get the best rep. I will say Hannah was on the best season of Down Under.
Yeah.
And part of why I think Down Under gets the bad rap is season 1 just has
season 1s are always going to be bad.
Unfortunate legacy, which is why if they do Winners 2, I really, really want Kid Amin to be on. I do think she deserves a much fairer shot. As outside of just being default winner, I think she gets a lot of crap for that, and I don't think it's very fair for somebody who is talented. So I would love her to get a chance to broaden herself to a lot more of the audience of Drag Race, for her to get to experience a lot of the much more, you know, fun things that people like that Vivian got to do when she came on for all winners. But I don't think it's her fault, but there are reasons we point to. Down Under also has. We want to talk about weird and inconsistent judging. Down Under has the weirdest things going on. There's season 3 is honestly, Down Under season 3 is a fever dream at this point.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed
time.
it. It's a fever dream though.
Yeah,
like if we go back to watch it, they were wild in.
Yeah. Just the meow. The meow will go down in history as.
Why did you meow?
Why are you meowing? What is going on in the world?
Well, and now because she's here, she's beautiful, and she fucking won. Let's just let's take a little time to brunch for a sec, and let's have a little tea of coffee. I just want to say, TK, she was kind of your girl from day one.
I'm a toot my own horn. I have loved Tia Coffee since the minute I saw her. I think Tia Coffee reflects an energy that I bring to art and performance whenever I do those things, which is unending love and not necessarily the most confidence at the times when you really need it, and not always the most polish at first, but like she just had so much heart, and she never stopped, and there was not a single critique that was incorrect on her season. And she was not unrealistic about it. It was a mix of things. Like, she clearly didn't have money at the time. And we talked about this last week. It goes all the way back to the Chi Chi DeVayne thing of like, you guys are kind of lying when you tell people you don't need money to do this, because the other side of that is when she yells at Joe Black about H&M, a lot of people have gone on to be like, what she's saying is you can buy it from H&M, and Ru does say this, you can buy it from H&M, but you better rhinestone the fuck out of it.
Zhuzh that shit to pieces.
Yeah, and that is true. Like, you cannot wear something just from H&M, but if you do and rhinestone the fuck out of it, they still may call it cheap. So it's not always the thing that they say it is. And she was the girl that rhinestoned everything she got from H&M because that's what she could afford. She made every look personal to her, but she knew when they weren't good and when they weren't competitive, and she went home with her head held high, and she did a lot of stuff. She actually legitimately, for somebody who does not have a ton of vocal chops just to get out there and sing, picked a great producer and makes solid British dance tracks for a country that just like will take any 120 beats per minute song that you give them and just put it out in clubs. She built herself a number of very, very solid dance tracks that I think are like really good.
Well, because she understands what like later career Britney Spears understands. Don't do high notes. They're not going to sound great. Do what you're good at. Do cool, fun delivery that makes you seem, I don't want to say human, because that sounds mean. That sounds like you're not that talented, but it's this thing that I've referenced a million times. Jessica Simpson used to get really mad that she was told to sing less impressively because she wasn't Christina Aguilera and people don't listen to her for the runs. And somebody like Britney Spears said, the most run I got to do is, and she's fine with it.
Yeah.
And Tia Coffee is mostly fine coming out there and doing these Britney Spears impressions and then filling in the gaps with some fun numbers.
Pay Derek her money.
Hey, Derek, no mind.
That's why Derek don't like you.
And I think it also is about, like, you just have to make good decisions about who you work with. It is very easy when you get a platform and you get a stage and you are asked to make a lot of decisions to make bad ones. And it can be really overwhelming. A lot of it is luck and a lot of it is just experience in the world and a lot of it is just the kind of person that you are. But, you know, a lot of queens do need to get a track or two out there so that they have something to dance to when they go on tour, you know, when they do like a Work the World or something like that. And it is just very easy to pick some scummy kid that is cheap and gets it done, but the track isn't any good. And, you know, you can tour with that and it's fine, but like, she's picked good people to work with. She's very smart. The other thing we got to talk about, there is something special about the tracks Ru chose for them to lip sync to. There's something unique and important. She really leaned into her Ru's love of disco. And I don't know what was going on here. I don't know what the thought process was. The thing that absolutely blows my mind is how few gays knew about Your Disco Needs You.
I sat there singing every word. What I don't understand.
Yeah, I did not.
I literally sat there from the first beat singing along because it is a staple of being a homosexual.
Well, and of being a Kylie fan, which everybody is now because of Padam Padam, but like, man, a lot of you're phoning it in. It was, yeah, I loved the tracks that Ru chose, and Ru's passion for disco has always been one of those things where I'm like, you know, you tell the girls, apply it to every challenge. You know, apply the things you love, apply the things that you're good at. Ru's love of disco and her birth out of disco, I'm always like, apply that more to this show because you clearly love it so much. They kept cutting to her, and I don't think I've ever felt like she was so into it. You know, she was not into Body. I love Body. I would watch more. Morphine will lip sync to Body every show for the rest of her life and should. And I love that. I'm here for that. But I love that song. Ru loves disco, and all she wants is for everybody else to love disco. And so many of us don't because we're too young. We don't get it. I say us, but I love disco.
Same. I basically make disco music like 30% of the fucking time. This was a moment where I was like, okay, we got to shut down production, get the rights to every single disco song you can get, because the light in her eyes is the light that is missing from every episode of Australia that makes it weird, which is why Michelle has to go do it now.
You know, it's funny. Earlier tonight at dinner, our parents were talking about the 60s music cruise they just went on, another music cruise there are, and how the 70s one is actually more popular, they learned, with multi-generations, all up and down ages. So I almost wonder if disco is something that we're all embarrassed to love, and we just need to start giving people to start giving us permission to love disco again, like how Cherry Pop and Daddies made swing music explode in the 90s, and then it was still kind of embarrassing, but people are still allowed to love it.
Well, I feel like you, my good sir, are selling short the one Mr. Brian Setzer, his orchestra, and the Stray Cats. But
Squirrel Nut Zippers. I mean, I could go on. We were
Those
just being
Gap
silly.
commercials, yeah, absolutely.
I was very present for the swing craze because it was very tangential to the ska scene.
It was.
My zoot suit served multiple functions, so
Are there pictures?
You know, we just went to the family storage unit, Jake's and my storage unit, and I just pulled out all the pictures. I have not sorted through them yet.
We won't make you show them on air, but you have to show them to your pack.
If I can find, it's
yeah.
Just real quick before we get too far, I just want to pull back to the disco point.
Yeah, please.
I do think you actually hear a lot of that disco influence in all of Ru's music.
Yep.
There's a certain level of chord progression insanity that disco music really loved, and Rue loves leaning into it. The songs that like we really love from Rue, things like ASMR Lover and Catwalk, and like a lot of these numbers, they really tie into that love of classic disco, soul 70s, and I just think she does a great job. I'm gonna miss UK versus the world, like I miss Canada versus the world. I think the versus the world format is incredible. It elevates all stars, and with winners like Blue, I love Blue for winning, but she was not like a big person for me in the first place. It's cool to see somebody that I added first and came to love. With winners like Tia, it's amazing to see winners that I loved in the first place and wanted to see get great. And with Raja, it was just fucking time somebody gave Raja a crown. Anyway, what does everyone else think about the verses?
They're great. If they're going to, I'm really happy there was a cash prize here because it gives a little more incentive for queens to actually want to do it, and they might even feel a little bit better about doing this as opposed to regular All Stars. Because on regular All Stars, there's this idea of this person's competing. I'm not going to win, so I'm not going, and it's why we get some weird All Stars casts. But I really like All Stars. Really like the versus the world because it feels like, okay, anybody can show up. And it's a really good promotion for international seasons, and that makes me really happy.
I really don't prefer versus format.
Okay.
I would rather just do global. I wish there were some mechanic of the host country having to do something.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because why is it Canada versus the world? Why is it UK versus the world? What are these nations bringing to the table as nations that it's not just
because like in this promo shot, they're all just standing together. There's nothing to delineate.
Yeah,
from
it's
where.
not like
So,
it's not like and there's no mechanic where if a British girl wins, she's allowed to not send home another British or something like whatever it would be.
Anything.
Yeah, so I'm ready. I think just to skip to global. But I mean, I love the show. Like I love them all. I think they do great things. I love seeing the people. As I've said, I think I would kind of love to see it as a charity tournament. I would kind of love to see it more as like you can't pull a Scarlet and you absolutely cannot pull a Pangina if you're eliminated, because everybody understands going in that this is all for fun. This would be another one where I maybe wouldn't send anybody home. There's a lot of stuff like that where I'm just like, I love seeing everybody here. I'm just not sure quite what we're doing. All of that said, this season was such a blast. I had not seen all of Le Grand Dame season. I'd seen very little of Ketta's season, and Ketta's is much easier to understand if you are not if you are an English speaker. Drag Race France is not, and what little I've watched, I did not really get an understanding of who Le Grand Dame was at all from watching the show. So it was really great to get to know her. And I've seen a lot of Marina season, and I was just really kind of happy to spend more time with her.
I really completely loved getting to know Marina. And I think that's part of like the magic of a lot of these girls and, getting to evolve with them and getting to know them a little bit better. You know what I mean? I think that really is a huge part of what makes this show so successful. For me, that's what I love about the versus the world format, because I kind of feel like I wouldn't get to know a Keta or a Le Grand Dame just because the other formats don't have as much room, right? So, but I love that point of where maybe it does fall a little bit flat because the format isn't the same thing as regular.
And it's not its own thing either. Like I want it to, if we're doing country versus the world, what does that mean? How is that different than just all stars in other country with extra people from country? You got to give me a little bit more.
1000%. All right, Jonah, do you got any final thoughts on UK versus the world?
Great winner, really fun season. bodes well for the future. And congratulations to Tia. Really kind of well deserved.
Keva, what you got to roll us out?
Yeah, same thoughts, same feelings. This was really exciting. I know we have Global All-Stars coming up. Do we know what other titles we have coming up next?
We got a whole bunch more. Honestly, I just don't know off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Sure, I didn't know if either of them.
We should be getting an All-Stars announcement before the finale, or maybe even during the finale of this season. And I believe it's slated to start within like 2 or 3 weeks of the finale for this season. So we should be going pretty soon into that. After that, it's a lot of international seasons. I think one of the big things we don't know is if Michelle had already filmed Australia before the announcement was made, or if the announcement was made when it was decided that she would go alone. So that's going to be a very interesting one to see. And, you know, I think it's kind of like, you know, Nico and I are on constant Tori Amos announcement watch because it just kind of feels like it's time for the next thing. And it feels like Drag Race is probably due for another... you didn't think this kind of show was coming, but here we are, especially with Queen of the Universe no longer being made. I think they are probably ready for, even if it's like a glam slam or something that's just on YouTube, I think we're probably shooting for another announcement of something we all haven't known about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just saying absolutely. Though I do see that you have preloaded the thing that absolutely all made us lose our stuff during the episode earlier.
And I added something to it. Today is 2 specific holidays. It is Trans Visibility Awareness Day, and it is also Easter. So here's 2 things to celebrate that. In the spirit of the holiday and in the spirit of X's for Show coverage. The Train's pride flag, of course, and the Jesus, the other who was betrayed this spring. God bless her. She of many pockets.
MJ, you shall rise one day.
MJ, JC, it's there. It's really there.
Well, I cannot wait to come back and talk the rest of this season, talk about Traitors. Kevo, I know we got that amazing board with stuff coming up like Beacon 23. We got Disco coming up, and that's, of course, Star Wars Discovery, not RuPaul's favorite genre of music. We have so many more amazing things coming your way, and we can't wait to bring it all to you. But until then, Jonah, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on the interwebs at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
Mr. Producer Extraordinaire, guy who we simply could not do this show without, man who keeps this all running so beautifully. Where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on the socials at Kev O'Reilly. That's KEVOREALLY. Mr. Teak with the awesome haircut. Where can everybody at home find you?
You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me all over the interwebs at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. You guys might have some super cool information about where you can find me in the very near future, coming up in the very near future. But until then, guys, we love it when you hang out with us for the episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It makes the channel a little bit easier for you guys to find, right? But the things we need you to do for us. Number 1, you got to stay safe. It's a crazy world out there, so do what you can. Number 2, don't forget to be brave in the face of this crazy world. And number 3, remember to evolve daily, because who you were yesterday, awesome. Who you are today, amazing. But who you're going to be tomorrow is even better. And we can't wait to see you then.